Yeah, I'm gonna look down a little bit. I'm gonna be reading some remarks. Um, can't remember all this stuff. So I would like to thank you all for joining us today. Obviously, first I'd like to congratulate our 2021 MSU football recruiting class. We're proud of your hard work, both in the classroom and on the field, and we look forward to getting you on campus very soon. Our general goal in recruiting is to fill our needs while strengthening our roster from top to bottom. We're not just collecting players or chasing stars. We are building a team. The question we ask ourselves of each player we recruit is, can this player fit with our team, our culture, and help us win the Big Ten? We have worked very hard to stay ahead of the curve with our approach to recruiting and the new transfer portal landscape in college football. We have adopted an NFL approach to recruiting. Much like the NFL, there's a draft and free agency today in college football today. We have a national signing day, and we have the transfer portal. That itself demands new approaches. We have developed a college scouting department to mirror a pro scouting department like you would see at the NFL level. Right now, there are more than 10,000 total names in the transfer portal as we speak. So our new approach is a college scouting department and a high school scouting department, just like you would have in the NFL. And so our scouting department, their job doesn't end. It doesn't end today, because there are players in the portal that they won't sign papers. They won't sign letters of intent. Some players may not sign any type of paperwork until they step foot on campus in the spring or the summer. So we have worked to be proactive, progressive, and aggressive in these areas. As I stated earlier this month, recruiting is a huge emphasis for this program. The theme for this class is 21 Built Strong. We have players from across the nation signed as of right now, including players from the great state of Michigan. There will be several noticeable trends when this class is finished, the most obvious of which is size. We recruit to a specific size model for each position with few exceptions. All of our guys from the 2021 class are tough, they're physical, football players that will forever be a part of the state tradition. And as I said, we're not finished building this class yet. There will be announcements throughout the rest of this day and into the spring and into the summer. This has been an unprecedented year full of some tremendous challenges, and this staff has done a great job to help establish our relentless program and make real, authentic connections with this class. I want to thank our new scouting and recruiting departments and creative teams for their incredible efforts. I want to send a specific thank you to all of the groups that have helped and will continue to help recruit virtually. Our academic staff, strength and conditioning staff, our player engagement teams, they've all made a tremendous difference. And lastly, I'd like to thank Coach Izzo for his support of our program, as we've been able to piggyback on some of their tremendous successes in recruiting and what they're doing on the court. This is a very special day for our program. We continue to cement our process. It's a process-driven culture, and here in East Lansing, we're looking to build something special. So with that, I'll tell you a little bit about some of these guys that I can talk about. We can only talk about the guys that we have paperwork on. Obviously, recruiting never stops, and it's perpetual motion, goes on forever. Geographically speaking, we have a player from Alabama, we have 2 players from Florida, 1 player from Maryland, 5 players from the great state of Michigan, 1 player from New Jersey, 2 from Ohio, 1 from Tennessee, and 2 from Texas. We have 1 JUCO signee, 14 high school guys, position breakdown: 1 quarterback, 1 tight end, 3 O linemen, 1 running back, 3 D linemen, 1 linebacker, and 5 DBs. Mid-year enrollees: Ethan Boyd, Michael Gravely, Hamp Faye, and AJ Kirk. Offensive line: average size 6'6", 302. Defensive line: average size 6'6", 280. Defensive back: average size 6 feet, 178. Quarterback: 6'6", 230. Running back: 6'1", 205. Tight end: 6'4", 220. Linebacker: 6'3", 220 are the sizes. I can go over just a few of these guys quickly. I could talk to you all day about these guys. I'm just going to highlight a couple guys by position. Hamp Faye, quarterback. He missed most of his junior year with an injury, but played really well his senior year. He threw for 392 yards in a playoff game against the Arlington team, and he committed in late April. And he actually was able to see campus before we shut down. Davion Prim, running back. He was our very first commit in this class. He helped lead Oak Park back to the district title, back-to-back. And his team was getting ready to play in the regional finals, but the state tournament was postponed due to COVID-19. Cam Allen, tight end. Has a team best 38 catches for 743 yards and 8 touchdowns as a senior. He scored a 71-yard touchdown in the state playoff win last Friday, and he'll play in the state playoffs Friday at Globe Life Park. O-line, Brandon Baldwin. Played basketball in high school, had very good footwork. Unfortunately, he didn't get an opportunity to play this fall with the season being canceled, but he has tremendous upside. He's ranked one of the top 50 JUCO prospects in the nation. Southfield area in Detroit. Ethan Boyd, excited to have him here. Excited to keep him home in East Lansing. His team obviously advanced to the regional finals, but the tournament was postponed due to COVID-19. He committed in April. He was the second commit in this class, and he was able to meet us before we shut down. Kevin Widgington, offensive line, probably one of the most improved players from his junior to senior year. He really worked hard this summer to transform his body. Played at the Hunt School in New Jersey, and is playing against top competition. DB Antoine Booth comes from a great high school program in DeMatha Catholic. Same high school as Darian Harris, a great Spartan dog. I didn't get a chance to play this season because of COVID-19. Their season was canceled. His father, Tony, was an All-American safety at James Madison and was drafted by the Carolina Panthers. Chuck Brantley, DB. He's a ball hawk. He had more than 20 interceptions during his high school career. He helped lead Venice to the 2019 Florida Class 7A semifinals as a junior and a berth in the Florida 7A Regional Region 4 finals as a senior. His uncle, Herb Haygood, was a wide receiver here at Michigan State. I was here with Herb when I was a GA. Michael Gravely Jr., first team All-State in Ohio, Division I, one of the best defensive back recruits in the state of Ohio. Can relate to Mike as a as a Cleveland guy, and I've had a lot of success recruiting guys from Glenville and from Ted Ginn Sr. over the years. Defensive back, Stephon Johnson, outstanding athlete, played corner, quarterback, and wide receiver. He rushed for a school record 387 yards and 5 TDs in a state playoff win last year versus Palm Beach Lakes. Had 6 total TDs and 483 total yards in that game. He's teammates with Chuck Brantley at Venice High School. DB, AJ Kirk. He's a younger brother of Mike Doss, who I coached at Ohio State. State championship with Archbishop Hoban High School as a senior. And he's named All-State in Ohio as a senior. And he is a big-time hitter. He will knock you back. D-line, Derek Harmon, large human being. He occupies 4 hands in blocking. Okay, he's massive in the middle. He's a dancing bear as a pass rusher. 2-time first-team All-State selection. Started all 4 years in high school on the offense and defensive lines. D-line, Alex Okello, big-time upside edge pass rusher. He can bend, he can run. He shows natural ability to get to the quarterback. He's got great length for a defensive end at 6'6". He helped his high school team to the state semis this year. D-line, Tyson Watson. Tall, long, powerful, smart, consistent, big-time upside. He's got a good build. He's got bulk. He's got great strength in his lower body. He can push the pocket. And he's got plays with really good power and instincts. He's got great size and length for a defensive lineman. And he helped lead Warren to a district title. Linebacker, Carson Castille, averaged 11 tackles a game as a senior, also wrestled in high school, and was the area wrestler of the year in 2019. Never gone wrong with a wrestler. So with that, I'll open up for any questions you may have about this class, and then I will be getting ready for practice today. We have a 2:30 team meeting, getting ready for Maryland.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. We'll start with Matt Charbonneau, the Detroit News.
Sorry, caught me off guard there a little bit. Well, obviously a busy day, and I'm curious, and on a day like this, are you spending a lot of your time just talking to the guys that have sent their letters in, and how much of that time is also split with continuing to work on the guys that have committed but haven't sent the letter in, and other guys in the class you're still working on? How do you split this day between all that?
Yeah, I'm just doing all of the above. Yep. Multitasking.
Do you feel good about where the overall class? I know you can't talk about specific guys. Do you feel good about the direction you're heading with guys we don't see on this list yet that you're still working on?
I feel good about our class and what we're building. Like I said, recruiting never stops. It's very competitive, and we've still got a lot of work to do. We're very active in the portal, and it's just a relentless effort to get the players that fit our program.
Next question will go to Jim Comparoni with Spartan Magazine.
Hey, Mel, your assistant coaches, from what I understand, they recruit their position nationally rather than maybe having a geographic location assigned to them. In what ways do you think that's effective? And did you pick that up from other coaches you've worked with in the past that you've adopted, or is it something new that you've brought?
No, we do both. Our coaches have recruiting areas, and they also recruit by position, and that's kind of been the trend for the past several years. For example, if I'm an offensive line coach and I have a big time receiver in my area, well, obviously that receiver is going to want to build a relationship with the receiver coach and the offensive coordinator and the head coach. So there's a balance there between area and just recruiting, being position specific. And so we have to do both.
How unique is it going to be when you get a chance to meet with these recruits face to face? First time ever that coaches across the country have had to sign players that they haven't met face to face. And how did you adapt to Zoom recruiting, and how much of a strength is that going to be for you in the future?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be exciting to see some of these guys for the first time face to face. I'm looking forward to that day. We adapted quickly to the Zoom recruiting, and I mean, it was just necessary. We left the office, I think, on a Friday, and we started Zooming on that following Monday, and that's really what it takes. We're FaceTiming and Zooming this morning, and into late last night. It just never stops. It's just something that you get used to, you adapt, and it is what it is. We embrace it. We embrace the change.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Question will go to Chris Solar, the Detroit Free Press.
Hey, Mel, you've talked so much about the portal. I guess, do you have a number that you want this class to grow to right now, or is it difficult with trying to figure out who may be coming, who may be staying, who may be leaving, and when do you kind of have an idea when you want to have that figured out?
Yeah, we have a very good idea, but it's not to our advantage to talk about the numbers of guys we're going to sign. That could actually be a competitive disadvantage in some situations. But we know exactly where we want to go and how we want to get there.
As a follow with Brandon Baldwin, does he have 4 years of eligibility for you guys coming in from JUCO without not playing this year?
Yes.
Thank you.
Our next question will go to Lindsey Huddleston.
Thank you. Hey, Mel, congratulations on your first signing day here at Michigan State. My question kind of goes to what Jim touched on a little bit about recruiting in the digital age. You took us down memory lane yesterday about the VHS recruiting and the sleeves and all that. I mean, you got the Office of College Scouting, the Office of High School Scouting. What are some of the big differences that you have to work on and things that are still similar to that old school recruiting style that you used to work on too?
The things that are similar is you got to trust you have to trust your eyes in recruiting. It really comes down to the tape. Do you know a good player when you see one? The thing that I just won't do is I won't recruit off of the rankings. We have a process of how we identify players, and we have a process on how we evaluate them. And I don't take into account, where they're ranked, in my evaluation. Just have to trust the tape, trust my eyes, know a good player when I see one, and know what we're looking for, within a scheme or offensive, defensively, or, toughness or instincts or size. And then you have to be able to project players as well. Even in the NFL, when you draft guys, it's often a 2 to 3 year projection on those guys. And so you're looking at young guys and you're saying, some of these guys, they're 16, 17 years old. You're saying, what do we think he's going to become? You have to be able to project. And then one thing that hasn't changed, you also have to do your homework on the background, on things that you can't see on tape. You have to be very diligent, and you have to connect. You have to connect with the player, with the student athlete. You have to connect with the family and anyone else who's involved with the student athlete in a significant way. You have to make those connections. You have to build trust, and it does take time. And so those are things that are fundamental. Now one of the things that's changed over the years is I can remember going out in spring recruiting, like in May, after spring ball, and looking for players, going from school to school, going to the high school coach and asking him, who do you have? And passing out questionnaires and leaving blank VHS tapes hopefully that they will send them back with, video of guys. And you'd be hitting, 15, 18, 20 schools a day, looking for players. And your biggest fear is, you miss someone, right? And so it's not like that now. We already know where the guys are. We already know. You don't have to leave. You don't have to leave your office to know where the players are and who are the best players. You can get that. You can get that on your phone. You can get that on your laptop. We have access to that. We have all these services, and so identifying players is not as difficult as it used to be, but the evaluation is critical because you got to get the right guy. You got to get the player that's right for you. He may be good for another he may be great for another program, but he may not be great for us. And so that's how readily you can find guys, nationally and get information, get measurements on guys, and there's a ton of tape on guys. And that's something that's new. It didn't used to be like that. And the other thing that's different is with the texting and the FaceTiming. That's constant. If you're not talking to them, someone else is. And it's not like I didn't get the text. So you better love recruiting, and you better love building relationships, and you better love helping people and getting to know people and building those authentic relationships, because the communication is it's a lot easier, and it's constant, daily, morning, noon, and night.
Thank you, Coach.
Sir.
Our next question will go to Matt Wenzel with M Live.
Hey, Mel, when you look at a guy like Hamp, who you mentioned the injury, I think he played, he was playing wide receiver at a different school, and I think he had only 3 games at quarterback his junior season. And you guys offered him when you were at Colorado, and obviously transferred over here. I guess, what did you see in that that really limited window of quarterback play, and did you take into account any of the wide receiver stuff that made you believe he was the right fit for you guys?
Yeah, obviously, again, like I said, you have to trust your eyes and all of the tape that you do have. Sometimes you have video that's outside of game tape that you have, and he also ran track, and you take into account, Jay Johnson, our offensive coordinator, played the position. He played quarterback. Actually, he won't say this, but Kurt Warner played behind him for 3 years in college, and so he knows quarterback play. He knows arm talent and mechanics and things like that. Are certain things that he's looking for in a guy. He's looking for these traits, and then also the mental. Being able to evaluate a guy's ability to process information, and run an offense and lead. There's a lot that goes into that, and so we trust our evaluation, and we're really happy to have him. He was a top target for us.
Sorry, obviously, very busy time for you now and has been for a while. When the season does end, I know you've got a whole staff and you're part of the recruiting process, but when there aren't games to prepare for, is that a situation where you plan on being even more individually involved in these recruiting battles that are going to linger?
Oh yeah, the recruiting never stops, and I'm always involved in the recruiting battles with the guys, and so that's just it never stops, and we don't just recruit one class at a time. We also on the 22s and the 23s, so it's just perpetual motion, and so it's a coaching in college football is a lifestyle. It really is. When you coach in the NFL, there is no recruiting. You could say there's recruiting for free agency, but at the end of the day, when you're out to dinner with a free agent, when he's on his visit, he just keeps checking his phone to see what his agent has to say about, the terms of the contract. That's what it really comes down to. Is not a whole heck of a lot of recruiting going on there. And in the NFL, when your phone rings, if it's not the head coach, the owner, or the GM, you don't need to answer it. It's a lot different in college, and so it's a lifestyle. So recruiting and in season, I don't call it off season. I call it out of season. You got the in season and the out of season. It's all woven. It's all intertwined. Even on a so-called vacation, there's no vacation from recruiting.
Thanks, Mel.
You're welcome.
Our next question will go to Stephen Brooks with 24/7 Sports.
Hey, Mel. What do you think you and your staff did well to make some of these guys who are far away, and even the ones that have committed before you guys started playing and could see the product? What did you think you guys as a staff did well to make them feel comfortable with Michigan State and the idea of that?
Yeah, like I mentioned before, we had a lot of people involved, a lot of different departments. We had some very successful virtual tours, and so we involved academics, player engagement, strength and conditioning, with that, along with position meetings, meetings with coordinators, obviously, meetings with myself, and just really working hard to connect, it just find out more about guys, ask them, ask them about their goals, their dreams, academically, how can we make this a fit, and the more you talk to the student athletes and their families, those contact points, the more they get to know you, the more you get to know them, and they need information. And that's a big part, when you can't go and see a place, they need, they want it. How can you paint a picture? How do you paint the picture when they can't see you, they can't see the place? So, our creative department is huge, with the graphic design, videos, and we have to be very responsive, to, questions. We got to give them answers quickly. We have to be very resourceful, and I think those are things that we did well, because everyone here understands that recruiting is the lifeblood of our organization, and we're built for recruiting. Everyone here in some way, shape, or form has some type of role in recruiting. It has going to have some positive effect on recruiting, whatever their role is.
And another thing, if I could, really quick, just what do you see as the role of the head coach, or just yourself, obviously, in recruiting? I mean, you've been in enough places. I'm sure you've seen different styles, and sometimes the head coach is just the closer or this or that. I mean, what do you see as the role of the head coach in this?
Yeah, but really just depends on what's needed. But I'm always available. I like to connect with the parents. I like to connect with the student athletes. I like to connect with the coaches and anyone who's involved with the student athlete. So I like to be involved, and it may be a closer role at times. It may be I offer myself as a resource to student athletes and their parents, because 24 years of coaching and 10 in the NFL, they got a lot of questions, and I want to help them, because maybe it's not the right fit for them here, but I can still help them understand the process of recruiting and what's happening. Some of these families, they've never gone through the recruiting process. Some have, and so helping them understand just how everything works and what recruiting is all about, and why are you getting all these calls, and why are you getting all these offers, and what do they mean, and what does a commitment mean, and when do you sign, and all those. I mean, there's a just how do I get to the NFL? How do you balance academics and athletics? All those types of things. People have a lot of questions about that, and it's a huge decision for them. And these young men, this is sometimes it's their first big decision, and then you got parents who are they're sending their son off to school, and sometimes it's far away, and so they got a lot of questions, and they want to know what the heck's going on, and so I like to be a resource for them, to just help them explain, to use my experience and give them examples. And I think that's I think that's a role that where I can be I can move the needle in a significant way.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Our next question will go to Joe at the State News.
Hey, Coach. Just looking at some of the guys, early enrollees or some of them, just how much being an early enrollee, how much does that help someone, especially being a freshman, just adjusting to, coming into a program at the college level from high school? How much does being an early enrollee help some of those guys? Yeah,
early enrollee. There's some advantages to it. If you're ready for it, and you're ready to leave high school, earlier, then you can get a jump on your degree. You can grab spring semester. You can get full semester of credits right there. You can get acclimated to the campus, into college life and academics without the pressures of having to play a game. Which is different when you come in, when you come into summer school. You come in the summer, you're taking summer school classes. That's not like taking a full load in the fall. You're taking a full load in the fall, and then you have the pressures of playing games. That can be a lot. So when you come in the spring, you don't have the pressure of playing games, and so you can get a really good head start and get off to get off on the right foot academically. You also get that entire strength and conditioning program, which for us this year would be about 8 or 9 weeks of strength and conditioning before spring ball. And then you also get the 15 spring practices, which includes the spring game, where you're installing the offense, defense, and special teams. So you get that as an early enrollee, and then you go into the summer, and then you get the whole summer conditioning program. We do the installation all the way over again, So you get the installation for the second time. So then by the time you get to fall camp, you're going into the third time of that installation, and you're in the best shape of your life, and you already know what the expectations are, and you're already are entrenched in the culture. So those are some of the advantages of coming mid-year.
And kind of a follow-up to that, Ethan Boyd is a kid from East Lansing. I know you kind of touched on him a little bit ago, but just having someone from a local school to be able to come here and play Michigan, play at the school that, he just grew up next to, just how cool was that for, just the recruiting process with him and his family? I know they both went to MSU too.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. I'm really excited for him. And he had a heck of a year. And I really enjoy watching this film. I got a chance to meet him. He's a great kid. He's got a good face. He's what you're looking for. He's got the length. He's going to represent Michigan State very well, and I know that his family is very excited.
Thanks, Coach.
The next question goes to Steve Courtney with WJR.
Coach, how you doing? Appreciate your time.
Yep.
On this recruiting day, just a question about the whole transfer portal thing. It wasn't long ago when somebody committed to a program that they were committed. Now it's kind of like a prenup in essence that, what, I'm going to go here, and if it doesn't work out, well, we've got a way out. It's a part of the game. I get it. You mentioned 10,000 names on it, Coach. I'm just wondering if you have a thought one way or the other. Is the transfer portal a benefit or a hindrance to college football?
Yeah, that's a great question, and like I've said before, I really believe in neutral thinking and taking just a very neutral approach to these types of things, to pretty much everything. And so, the portal's here, and it's not going away. So we're going to embrace it. And I've gotten players out of the portal, and I've seen guys go into the portal. And that's part of college football now. And so, I try to take the judgment out of it. Good, bad, right, wrong. Really just look at what is the truth is here. What is it all about? How do we navigate it? Figure it out, and that determines, what we need to do next. How do we need to structure, our recruiting department? What changes? How do we adapt? And then how do we maximize our opportunities for our program? That's the way I approach it.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Yep. You're welcome.
Next question will go to Jack Ebling.
Mel, you knew this program on a lot of levels when you got here in February, but what have you learned about the national perception of Michigan State football, and what's a little different than you might have imagined?
Michigan State is a national brand. We can recruit, coast to coast, and all the high school coaches and the players, they know Michigan State, and they respect Michigan State, respect the brand, and respect the history and the tradition. And there's only 2 Big Ten teams that have been in the college football playoff. I'm not sure if I've been surprised by very much, but I know there's a lot of pride in Michigan State across this country. There's Spartans everywhere, and they're very supportive, and they want to see us do well in the worst way. And so, I know that we have I think it's over 550,000 living alumni, all over this country, all over this world. And so our reach is very broad. And we have a lot to offer here at Michigan State. And so we're very proud of our academics. We're very proud of our our athletics and our tradition and our history. And so we have a lot to sell. If you can't recruit at Michigan State, you probably can't recruit.
We have time for a few more. I'll try to get to everybody to these ones. I'll go to Natalie Kerwin with WILX.
Hey, Mel. There are quite a few females on your staff this year that helped with the recruiting process, specifically Lisa, who's the director of on-campus recruiting.
Yeah.
And we have a few other on-campus recruiting coordinators as well. So having Lisa and those other ladies on staff in these big roles, especially as females, is something you might not see much on other teams. How have they helped with the recruiting process this year?
Yeah, they've, tremendously. We have Simone Prue, who's our director of sports administration. We believe in diversity on our staff, from top to bottom, and so diversity is huge with me, and assembling the staff. Every position is important, and what Lisa does and her staff and Tessa and Lauren and it's a team effort, and I think that's appealing to a lot of student athletes and their families, because we're actually we actually have a family atmosphere here in a family environment, and that's our culture. And so when a mom and a dad, a grandmother, a grandfather, they decide that they're going to send this young man off to school, they want to see authentic family environment that's got a strong a strong culture that's built for success, and they want to see diversity on the staff, in all areas. And so I think that's one of our strong points, and we're going to continue to value diversity on our staff, and as we hire people, that's a huge factor.
We have time for a couple more before Coach has to go off for another interview with the Big Ten Network. Busy day today for Coach. We'll go to Paul with Spartan Magazine. Paul?
Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask you about your in-state recruiting efforts, and if you felt like you established enough of a foothold with the class that you have to kind of build for the future and maybe keep some other teams out of your backyard, like a Penn State, who's been in Detroit quite a bit for the last couple of years.
Yep, we're working on it. We've got a good start to it. We're building relationships with the high school coaches and with the players, the student athletes, and everyone involved. We've I think we've made some tremendous strides since February 12th. It doesn't happen overnight, because it's all about relationships. It's about trust. But the response that I've gotten in state is that it's been very positive. They see the direction of the program. They appreciate the way we're going about our business, and they're taking notice of what we're doing. And the one thing when you recruit in your state, you can't take those high school programs those student athletes and those coaches, you can't take them for granted. You can't just assume, hey, just because you're in our state and you're right here that you should come to Michigan State. You gotta recruit those guys just like you would be recruiting somebody from Texas or Florida or New Jersey. You know, you gotta earn it. You know, you really gotta dig in. You gotta earn it, and you gotta build the relationships, and you gotta dig in there. And you gotta fight for them, and it's a process. But we're committed to doing that, and we're going to be aggressive in our state. We're going to offer guys early. We're going to be honest and upfront with them and with the coaches, and we're going to do what we say we're going to do.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Paul. Our last question will go to Audrey Dahlgren with WLNS.
Mel, I was wondering about, you guys had signed 3 corners and a safety. And so the emphasis may be on getting guys in the secondary, or was there emphasis on getting those kinds of players, or just the mindset, the thinking behind signing those guys?
Yeah, we wanted to add some players to our secondary. That was a point of emphasis. And, you know, as we go, you'll most likely see more. You know, we play a lot of defensive backs, and you know, we need to be strong in that area. And so you know, good defensive backs are not always easy to find. You know, so it's critically important that we have the right types of guys in our defensive backfield. They can play multiple positions. I really like guys that are interchangeable. I like guys that can play corner and safety. I like guys that can play in the nickel spot, like can play in the slot and can play outside. I like guys that can bring special teams value as well in the secondary.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, that's all the time we have for today, Coach. Really appreciate you taking the time to talk with everybody on this busy signing day.
Yeah, thank you so much. Again, appreciate everything you guys do. And I'll be seeing you guys soon. Go Green.
Thanks, Mel.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.